Hey everybody, wanted to do a quick video on a new build that I'm really excited about. This is going to be something that will, I think, absolutely become a team staple in the new meta. Now, starting next week, I think a lot of people know that mod slots are going to be colorless, and as you can see, the only three things in this build that are not red are the three mod slots, which I will be able to put critical hit chance and critical hit damage in starting next week. So I'm going to show you how this build works. I'm going to show you some footage of me running it solo, and I'll tell you all about what I think it'll be capable of and why I think it'll be this is going to be a new absolute team staple, something that you're going to have in your group of 4, something that you're going to have on your raid team. Well, maybe not on a raid team, because a raid you can use a full-on medic, and it's actually preferable. But the genesis of this was that, okay, somebody has to run medic, right? And nobody wants to run medic because you have absolutely no firepower whatsoever. The other thing that was intriguing to me was the fact that when you run this, you get 15% additional damage while you're at full armor, and so does everyone else on your team, in addition to some team healing. So I thought, what would happen if we overwrote all the skill tiers with weapon damage and made this into a full-on DPS build? Let me say right away that it's not necessarily a medic. Actually, let me re-equip it because I had modified it for a mission. This is not necessarily a medic. This will probably not keep your whole team up as they face tank their way through a legendary. It's not designed like that. That's not what this does. What this does do, though, is let you run with some actual firepower and boost the team an additional 15% DPS. This build will hit just as hard as a full-on DPS build. This is a DPS build, but you are capable of healing yourself and some people on your team. Like I said, you're probably not capable of running a full-on medic role, but you are definitely capable of doing some damage, which is preferable to every time somebody runs medic in a legendary, it feels like it's a wasted slot. Number one, because you don't need it at all. Number two, because that person can't do any kind of damage. All they do is heal you. So I don't think anybody runs medics in legendaries anymore. But what we want is that 15% additional damage for the whole crew. Now, normally you would have to have someone sacrifice a bunch of reds in order to do that and run a medic build. But if you have this, you can get that 15%, which actually will be 25%. This would be 25% once I get a better one. I need a crit chance one, and we'll need the red mod slots, obviously. There's a few drawbacks to that. I'll talk about that in just a second. But let's start out with, you want to run technician for the additional skill tier. That's pretty much the only reason it's there. I use 2 weapons with Future Perfect. For me, I've noticed that this military Mark 17 just does not hit hard enough. If you have an M1A with Future Perfect, that would be fantastic. I find myself going more and more to the police M4. The way this thing is fitted out, it's like a laser beam. I've got crit chance, crit damage, and stability on it, and then I've got one piece that has weapon handling. This thing is an absolute laser beam, and this is what I use to keep Future Perfect procced. So when I have Future Perfect stacked 3 times, these are actually tier 4 skills. I'm running a fixer drone right there. A couple times in a mission, I've popped this over to an assault turret, and that will keep the aggro off of me, help me keep my armor up, and that way I'm still giving that 15% the entire time. Of course, I don't think it matters. I think anyone on the team who has full armor gets that 15% bonus build. So everyone that runs with this is going to be on their own to keep their armor full. I can drop the hive, and they can take part in that, but it's not, unless I'm able to get 3 kills within, like, say, a minute. It's really not going to be strong enough, and you can't count on this being strong enough to heal the whole team. Unless, like I said, Future Perfect has it staffed all the way up to a tier 4. At that point, yeah, I probably could keep the team healthy for a minute or two. But what I did is I took a Future Initiative mask with critical hit chance and put weapon damage on it. I've got a glass cannon Cheska piece. Now these got to be Cheska. One of these two has to be Cheska, and one of these two has to be Grupo Sombra, because you need the 10% critical hit chance, and you need the 10% critical hit damage. So it's a glass cannon, critical hit chance Cheska. Right now, I think after the update, or whenever I get, whenever I get a future initiative that has critical hit damage on it rather than weapon handling, I'll probably put that in there, and then put a Cheska holster or Cheska knee pads or gloves in there. Same thing with the holster. It's critical hit damage with weapon handling. The backpack is Grupo Sombra. I started out initially with Vigilance, but what I was finding that every time Vigilance goes down so frequently because you get hit, that it's down almost as much as it's up. And so for me, since I'm going to have this hive around me at all times, Companion makes more sense, because Companion is always going to be up. So I think the 15% always up is going to be better than the 25% down half the time, which is only 12.5 rather than 15. That was my logic there, especially since I'm always going to have the skill. Got critical hit chance on the gloves. You can actually put critical hit damage on there depending on how you have this set up. I have this set up for an additional stability right here, but if you could put 5% crit chance there, you could put in the critical hit chance gloves, which apparently are in my stash. And this is the best knee pads I have at the moment, so I'm looking for critical hit damage on these, although the weapon handling really makes a difference, and my M4 is an absolute laser beam, so I may actually just leave that just like it is. Once these mod slots get turned into red, I'll be able to put in 312s, which will improve my critical hit damage on the AR by 36, so I'll be at 50.4 and 146% critical hit damage, with the additional 15% Companion and glass cannon procced, or the 25% that you get from tactical superiority on ground control damage bonus. This will absolutely shred. You can basically keep up with any, even with a full-fledged DPS build. You could keep up with one like this. You could absolutely keep up with it, no problem. So this would be a tremendous buff to the team in so many ways, and just a few that I can think of off the top of my head is running one of these, a status effect, and 2 regular DPS through a legendary. You could probably smoke your way through it. In the raid, this would absolutely, maybe not so much in Iron Horse, because you actually run full-on medics in Iron Horse. But in Dark Hours, having this at Razorback would be absolutely, anywhere in Dark Hours actually this would be incredible. At Boomer, at Weasel, at Buddy and Lucy, at Razorback, at all 4 encounters, this would be absolutely boss. And I mean boss. Can you imagine having it's tough to run a medic at Razorback because you're sacrificing that DPS role, which slows the whole process down. But if you've got this guy can hold a corner. This guy can do DPS to Razorback, and he's giving everybody that buff. Not to mention, he's got some healing. So not great healing, but some healing for the whole team. So this, I think, is absolutely going to be an essential loadout. Even like, let's say there was 3 people, and we were running a legendary, but they were all running this build, right? If I'm running my rogue medic, I've still got 25% because it's weapon and skill damage. So you're still getting 25% everybody to their striker drones and assault turrets. And I have this slot open right here. Instead of a fixer, sometimes during a mission, I will put an assault turret in there. I can put a striker drone in there. So this is going to be a monstrous buff to teams, and it's really going to be fantastic. And I'm so excited for these 3 to go red. I think this is the future of DPS in this game right now. I know Future Perfect has its problems. One thing I would suggest is just tell your team, like, hey, when you shoot their armor off, leave them for me, or leave the red bars for me, or something like that. I got to keep Future Perfect going, because when Future Perfect is fully stacked, I can get this up to 32 charges at a tier 4. I mean, it can really help out quite a bit. But that would be my only concern with Future Perfect, is that, hey, it can be hard to get 3 kills within 2 minutes time or whatever. You have to get at least, to keep it, I think you have to get 1 kill every 45 seconds to keep it eternally at 3. Now that's not really possible, but you can always keep it above tier 1, which is where it starts at. So you can actually have quite a bit of skill damage with this build, in addition to full DPS, and you're buffing the team 15 to 20%, depending on whether or not you go with glass cannon or whether or not you decide to go, or you're capable of going with the full-on Future initiative. So as far as I know, this is absolutely going to be essential coming up, and I love this build. I love this idea. I can't wait to test it out. As far as I know, no one else has even thought of this. This is a completely original idea of mine, and I'm so glad I was able to share it with you. Thank you. Hey, just wanted to leave you guys with some footage of me actually using this build. There you can see that's what I'm running, and this is me clearing the rooftop of the solo heroic invaded Grand Washington Hotel. I found out I was taking a little bit too much aggro running 2 healing skills, so what I did is I put on an assault turret in order to pull some of the aggro away from me, and I managed to clear it with no problem. Now that was just solo. If you were running this particular build in a group, then everybody on the team would have the 15 or 25% more damage, including me. We'll have a bit of a healing, and keep in mind, I did all this before I even had the additional 36% critical hit damage that I'll have soon from the agnostic colorless mod slots. So this build hits incredibly hard as it exists right now. But coming up next Tuesday with the update, this build is going to hit just insanely hard, and it's going to buff my 3 other teammates, whether they're running skill builds or whether they're running full-on DPS builds. Even the tank is going to get 15 to 25% more damage, depending on how you got it set up. So I think this is absolutely going to be the future of the meta from here on out. At least through this next update, through Title Update 11. Having this build on your team, I think, is going to be so essential, especially if you're trying to do some of the harder content in the game. So thanks again for watching, and enjoy the rest of this clearing.
Gain 75% complete. Serious trauma detected.
All talk, no gun. He's done.
It's all 3 priority targets down for the count.